Okay, this is lesson 2D, the quadratic formula. So we are still solving for x-intercepts, but sometimes we get decimal numbers. So this is a different way to solve quadratic equations. It's called the quadratic formula. So I will show you a video about this another time. How does it work? Well, basically you must be in general form. So that's something that we're going to just write down here. Where do I have that? I don't have anywhere to write it. So we have to put a little note here. The equation EQN must be in general form. So in order to use this, we have to be in general form, okay? In general form is where we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So it's our normal trinomial, okay? So it's a normal trinomial equaling 0, or you could say y equals the trinomial, okay? So what we do is we have to identify the numbers, a, b, and c. That's what we do. And then we put the numbers into the actual equation. Do you have to memorize it? Never. It'll always be given for you, okay? But ironically, you will end up starting to memorize it just by the way it goes and having to use it, okay? I'll move that up in a moment. And we'll do example 1 together. So example 1 is in general form. So what we do is we're going to identify our A, our B, and our C values, okay? So on this question, we have a hidden 1 in front of that guy, so we have A is 1, B is 2, and C is negative 3. That matters. Our negative signs matter. So now we're going to plug all the numbers into that equation. So we're going to have x equals, now the first part says negative b. What it means by that only is the opposite sign of the b number. So if the b number is a negative, you put it in as a positive. If the b number is a positive, you're going to put it in as a negative. So I have a positive b, I'm putting him in as a negative in the equation. That's what it means by negative b at the start. Okay? Then we're going to go plus minus, because that's what the equation says. And then we're going to put our big root sign. And all on top of. Those are static. Static means they're always that way. Okay? So, now we're going to put the numbers where they belong. The number right here is going to be B. Here we have A and C. And right there I have an A. So literally, I look at my numbers and I put them where they go. Okay? It's like a matching game. So, B is a 2. Whenever you're putting it in the brackets here for B squared, whenever you have a squared and maybe your B number is a negative, it will always square to be a positive answer. So negative times a negative is a positive. So even, let's pretend if your B was a negative number, don't worry about the negative sign in this case because he'll square and become a positive. Okay? Our A number is a 1, our C number is a negative 3. Okay? And our A number is a 1. So with the quadratic formula, we have a root sign. Root signs behave like brackets in bedmass, which means you have to solve underneath them first to get it to one number under there. Okay? So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do bedmass under here. Okay? Everything else is going to get written the same. So I'm going to have x equals, whoopsie. Okay. So now I'm here, I'm going to have my negative 2. Here I'm going to have a 4. Minus, now this guy here, this part's really important. The fact that we got 2 negatives. What happens when you multiply a negative to a negative? It does, it becomes a positive. So it's going to be 4 plus 12. Okay? And on the bottom, 2 times 1 is 2. Now we're going to solve again under the root sign. So we have negative 2 plus and minus, none of it. root 16 all over 2. So now we can solve root 16. Okay, we're going to solve all of this. Okay? So we know what root 16 is. He's a perfect square. Please write this stuff down. It's not going to match with your other page. Write it down. Barely. Write this stuff down. So the 16 is going to become a 4. So now it looks like this. And you're going to have to solve it twice. So it's x, or whoa, negative 2 plus and minus 4, all divided by 2. Now this is where you have to do BEDMAS again. So you're going to solve this question twice. Why twice? Because you've got a plus and a minus in there. That means you're going to have 2 answers. So we're going to say x equals negative 2 plus 4, all divided by 2. And then we write it again, negative 2, and we switch that sign. Up here it's a plus, we switch it to subtract down there. All divided by 2. So again, we're in fraction form. So what that means is we have to solve the top to one number before we can divide. Okay? That's the way BEDMAS works. So on this part, we're going to go 4 plus negative 2 is 2. So this guy is 2 over 2, which equals 1. So we know this x-intercept is at positive 1. Over here, I have negative 2, subtract 4, gives me a negative 6. Divided by 2 is negative 3. So now I know my x-intercepts. I know on the graph where he's going to touch. So I know he touched at positive 1 and negative 3, and there's my graph. Okay? So that's what the quadratic formula is all about. Once you get to the bottom part, or the end, you have to separate this plus minus and solve them twice. Okay, so that there's 2 answers. Okay, I'll give you a moment to write that down. Let's look at a couple more examples. Okay. Well, I want to solve the first one. Same thing, I have to make sure that my equation is equal to 0. My first one's equal to 0, now I identify who A, B, and C are. Okay, so we got a list who's A, B, and C. So who's my A value? Jeremy, where do I find A? You're exactly right. The guy in front of X squared, so he's a 1. Okay, who's the B value? Philip, who's the B? 4. Good. Positive 4. Who's the C value? Brody. Yep, C value. Yeah. So we have the A value, the B value, the C value. Okay? So now we're going to put the numbers in that equation again. So I'm going to say x equals negative b, so it's opposite side of the b. B's positive, he's going in negative. Plus and minus 4 squared minus 4 times a times c, 2 times a. So we're putting in our A, B, and C numbers. Okay, over here I need A and I need C. So we plug them in first, and then we're going to simplify it. I will be checking your notes to make sure they're filled out properly. So follow along with the examples, please. So again, BEDMAS is important. We've got to solve under this root sign first. So we're going to have x equals negative 4 plus and minus 16. 4 squared is 16. Now we have to take negative 4 times negative 1. What do we get? Negative times a negative? Positive 4. All over 2. Okay, write down the steps, please. Okay, from there, we're going to solve, we're going to add under the root sign. So x equals negative 4 plus and minus square root 20 all over 2. Now, if it says it wants an exact value answer, not a decimal answer, that's this answer. Okay? But we will have to reduce the radical always. So the radical is a root 20. Root 20 can break down. So we have to break him down. Now, if they want the decimal answers, we just literally type it in twice, and then we get the answer. But if it wants the exact value answer simplified, we have to reduce that root 20. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to reduce root 20. So we're going to get negative 4 plus and minus 2 root 5 all over 2. Because root 20 is 2 square root 5. That's what he breaks down into. So I'll just show you here, root 20, root 4 times root 5, which gives us 2 root 5. Okay? So that's how that works. Okay, I square root of 40, get the 2. That's how I have a 2 up front. Okay? So now we look at the numbers in front, not the guy under the root side. We look at the coefficient and the guy in front and the bottom. If all three numbers will divide or reduce, we do. So all of them will divide by 2. And that's okay, because that means I get rid of my bottom and I'm no longer a fraction. And that's good. So we say we're going to divide everything by 2. We're going to reduce. So that means only these three numbers can be reduced, though. And you're not able to reduce any of them unless all three reduce. So if only 2 of them reduce, I couldn't do it. All 3 have to. Okay? So now I'm going to take negative 4 and divide by 2. That gives me a negative 2. What's 2 divided by 2? 1. So I get plus and minus. My hidden 1 in front of my root 5. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I have a hidden positive 1 on the bottom, which we always know everything does. So if we want, we can draw our bottom is a hidden 1. Okay, just like everything has a hidden 1 on the bottom. Okay? So we're going to type that in twice to find out our answer. So we're going to type in x equals negative 2 plus root 5. And then we're going to type in negative 2 subtract root 5. When we get our answers, we're going to 2 decimal places always. So our exact value answer is right here. This is the exact value. We haven't changed it to a decimal yet. Then we do the decimal rounding. So now rounded to 2 decimal places, we get 0.24 and negative 4.24. Okay, so that's what we get for both of those. And give me a moment to write that down. All right, let's take a look at, oh, sorry, we have one more example left here, letter C. So I'm going to erase everything here so that we can tackle letter C. Now, letter C is a little bit more difficult, as I mentioned, because it doesn't equal 0, and all of our equations have to equal 0. So what we have to do is we have to FOIL this, FOIL our carry box, then we bring our 2x over and put it in our answer of the FOIL. So, letter C, when I FOIL it, I'm going to get x squared minus 1 equals 2x. Now remember, we have to be in general form. General form means I've got to have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. It has to be in that order. From biggest exponent on x, smaller exponent on x, no variable. Okay, so that's called descending order of powers. That's how you have to write it. So this guy is not written correctly. We're going to have to put this guy in between them. It has to go in between because he's the b value. So when we move him over, he's going to subtract. He's going to become a negative. Okay? So now we're going to rewrite it with him in between those. So x squared subtract 2x subtract 1 equals 0. Now we've got our equation. Now we identify who is A, B, and C. Okay, that's always our first step. Make sure it's equal to 0, and then find out who's the A, B, and C. So how big is A in this question? Again, 1. Good job. Just that hidden 1 in front of x. Most people forget that. We can't forget that one. Anthony, what's the b value? Perfect, -2. And I want the c value you're at. -1. Beautiful. All right, we've got our numbers identified. Now we're going to put them in the equation. So, x equals opposite sign of b. We have a negative b value, so he's going to become positive 2 in front. Okay, it's always opposite sign of the b. Plus and minus root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. Put all the numbers where they go. 2 times a. So, we have a on the bottom, this is b, a, c, and this guy's a b. Okay, so we put all the numbers where they belong. What's our next step? What do you think we have to do very next? Headmass, yeah. So what part goes first? Under the root side. Good. So the part I'm going to work on now is this part. We have to solve this down to one number. So what I like to do to save room is I'll solve them on top of the root side, just to save room. So -2 squared gives me 4. Okay, positive 4, because a negative times a negative. Here now, with these numbers, I have a -4 times -1 is a positive 4. So under my root sign, I have 4 plus 4. How big is 4 plus 4? 8. All right, so now we're going to rewrite it. Get rid of that stuff on the bottom. Any other question? Okay. So now we have x equals 2 plus and minus square root 8 all over 2. Is that as low as that goes? Is it reduced as far?
No, we take 2 out of everything, so make it...
You're so close, Jeremy. It's scary. We have to reduce root 8. Once we reduce root 8, there will be a 2 in front. Then we divide it all by 2. So you're thinking too fast in your brain there. So you're already a step ahead of us. So the first thing you have to do is take root 8 and break them down. So root 8 becomes root 4 times root 2, which is 2 root 2. Good. So I'm now going to rewrite it with my root 8 gone. So x equals 2 plus and minus 2 root 2 all over 2. That's a lot of cute 2's. All right, this would be considered a half point because we're not quite there yet. We have to do what Jeremy said. What are we doing now, Jeremy?
Dividing it all by 2.
Yes, we're dividing every number by 2, but except for the right account. You don't touch the guy under the root sign. Everybody else, but not him. So we can all divide by 2 and become 1. So if I have a 1 on the bottom of my fraction, I don't have to draw it. So now I have x equals 1 plus and minus hidden 1 root 2. So now we're going to type it in twice. This is our exact value answer. That would get us a full point. For quadratic equations, it's usually 2 marks. I like to see your work. So that would get you your second point to the 2 marks. Now we're going to solve it to the decimals. That would give you your third mark. So x equals 1. Now we're going to go plus root 2. And then we're going to go x equals 1 subtract root 2. So we're going to have 2 answers again. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to write that down and calculate the answers. Perfect. So the first one we get is positive 2.41. And the second one is negative 0.41. Okay? Yeah, always round to 2 decimal places. Okay, so just 2 decimal places to round. All right, so what I'm going to do, the next 2 questions are practice for you. But what I'm going to do is give you the exact value answer and the decimal answers. You have to do the work, okay? And then we're going to jump into the problem-solving questions and do those, and then we're done the lesson. So here's the answers. You have to try and figure out how we got them. So, the first one, exact value answer is this. X equals -2 plus and minus root 6. So that's exact value. Decimals, x equals 0.45. X equals -4.45. Second one, you get x equals 5 plus and minus 3 all over 2. That's your exact value answer. And then you're going to get x equals 4, x equals 1. Okay, so write those down, and then you guys can figure those out. Now we're going to do the two-word problems. Okay, last couple questions. So they're going to give us different equations, but all they are is quadratics. So this one here looks kind of strange, but again, the r is like an x. It's just using a different variable. They're using variables that represent the word problem. So r standing for radius instead of just an x. But if we like to put it back to x, which I like x, I usually do me in my own equations. Okay? So it says you have a surface area of 300. Okay? And that's your equation. The s, the slant height is 15. So what we have to do is we have to circle the numbers and match them to where they belong. That's our first step. So if we match the 300, the 300 is going to match for the A. The 15 is going to match for the S. Now we got to solve for the R. Okay? So it's going to look like this. 300 equals 15 pi r plus pi r squared. Okay? Now we're going to take 300 to the other side. So this guy's going to come over. So we're going to subtract 300, subtract 300. Now we have to rewrite it, you guys. We have to rewrite it with ax squared plus bx plus c. So ax squared plus bx plus c. So we need the guy with the squared sign, r squared, he has to be written first. So now we're going to have pi r squared. This guy here is a positive 15 pi r. Subtract 300 equals 0. Now we're in our actual proper format. So now we can label the A, B, and C. So A is pi. B is 15 pi. So this is B. Pi is part of the symbol. You have to take it with it. And then this guy is C. Okay, so we have our A, our B, and our C. And we're just going to leave pi in as a symbol until the very end when we actually have to hit the pi button. Okay, and that's our very last step. So we're just going to use it as a number placeholder for now. Okay, so we've identified where A, B, and C are. Now we're taking it into the equation. So x equals opposite side of B. So negative 15 pi plus and minus square root b squared. So 15 pi squared. We're going to leave it as an expression. We're not going to actually square it yet. Minus 4 times my A number, which is pi, times my C, which is negative 300. And that's all under the root sign. All divided by 2 times the A, which is pi. 2 pi. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to literally multiply these numbers. Because pi is a run-on number, we're not able to actually solve it unless we hit our button. So we're going to start using buttons in a moment. So now we've got x equals negative 15 pi plus and minus root. Oh, we got 225 pi squared plus 1200 pi. That's what this part right here, that's giving me my 1200 pi. Okay? All divided by 2 pi. So now this is what you actually have to put in your calculator. So 2 steps. You're going to go negative 15, hit your pi button, plus root 225 pi squared plus 1200 pi. You're going to have to, if your calculator opens a bracket under the root sign, you need to close that bracket. So what you would do is you would type this in exactly as you see it, and then you would hit enter. And then you're going to go divide by bracket 2 pi bracket, enter. That's how you have to type it in. And the first one we're doing is the plus, the positive. Because we have to do plus and minus, remember. Okay, the plus one and the minus one. So x equals. Okay, so this is our first one. Everybody practice typing it in. Hopefully you get the same answer. We should get negative 19.82 and x equals 4.82. Now, this is problem solving. Did I even have to find the negative one? For problem solving, can I have a negative radius of a circle? Never. You can never have a negative radius. So when we do problem solving, we do not consider the negative answer. We only consider the positive answer. So we would say the radius is 4.82. Okay, and that's centimeters for our unit. Okay. I'm going to give you the equation for the next one. And I'll show you how the next one plays out. I'll give you a moment to write that down. Last example. So this one's going to be the same type of idea. We're going to get 250 equals 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r height, which is 7. That's the h. Okay? So we're going to rearrange it to become 2 pi r squared plus 14 pi r minus 250 equals 0. Our A is 2 pi, our B is 14 pi, and our C is negative 250. Okay, I'm just going to give you the answer for this, the exact value answer, and you can practice on your own, okay? So you get radius is equal to 3.71 centimeters. Okay? This concludes problem solving using quadratic formula.